see if we're actually live. And I'm gonna start talking like we're live. I'm just gonna assume we're live. Hey, we're live. Hi. Hey, guys, and otherwise. We're doing a weird thing today that I'm a little nervous about, but I'm always nervous with these things, so what's the difference? We are going to be writing this video. That's my background. I've done so much research for this thing, and have been writing all my notes, all my disembodied notes on my legal pad, that are all non-sequential and non sequitur and nonsense, and I'm gonna take all those notes today and organize them into a big outline that looks like the first version of the video, and then from there I'll start writing a script once the outline's fleshed out and tinkered with and edited and all that fun stuff. Outline is gonna be, that's the lyrics. Outline's gonna be this is our template for it. The big outline, I'm actually gonna add big outline here. Big outline. This is Courier Prime font by John August. It's a great one. So we're gonna have our main, I already know how many main beats there are going to be to the video. But first, let's explain what this video is, because it's sort of total nonsense, and how it's gonna work. Because the video is going to be about one specific song, "O Comely" by Neutral Milk Hotel, released in 1998. It is an 8-minute acoustic epic. It has just a guy singing, an acoustic guitar, the occasional horns, and the occasional double tracking of vocals, and that is it. And it is my favorite song of all time. And this has been a video that has been in my head literally since after I started making the Hamilton video. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll make a channel, and what other videos should I make? This was probably the second one I came up with. I honestly think it was Up versus Arrival, which was my second video, and then this one, which is it's gonna be my 12th video, video essay at least. So yeah, this is one that's been stewing for a bit. And what we're going to do, and by the way, let me know in the chat if you can see everything all right. I'm just moving my mouse, there's not much to see. And if the levels are all right with the audio, I'll fix it if you want me to. I should switch to actually being able to see the chat, huh? And live chat, cool. But yeah, so this is how the video is going to work. And this is the ambitious thing that I've been thinking about since like day one of this video. And that is because I can't compete with Polyphonic. I can't compete with, what's that, Volksgeist? What's the really good, there's a lot of really good video essayists out there that do music. And I want to do something a little new. I want to do it make stuff style. So what I'm doing is the video is going to be the 8-minute song, 8-minute, 18-second song, "O Comely," playing from beginning to end, no editing to it, nothing, no cutting. I will just increase and decrease the volume. There's going to be consistent waveform, the little squiggly line there that that is animated along with the song, like when you turn your iTunes to like the cool trippy mode. That's going to be consistent throughout it, but I'm not going to cut the song in any way. There's going to be no editing. It's going to be me choreographing my voiceover with the song. And to accomplish this, to make it a little easier to wrap my brain around, I went ahead and made this it's a timeline. So this is the minutes of the song. 0 is going to be the short intro before the song. And then I'm going to be filling out this timeline probably today on this stream, of where different parts of voiceover and stuff will fit into that 8 minutes. It's going to be anytime I reference a line, I need to reference that line right before that line in the actual song, in the spot it is in the song. And I have a few of those plotted out, and stuff like that. It's going to be me just building a whole video essay and voiceover around this 8-minute song. So we're going to figure that out together, because that sounds like a nightmare. And this is definitely one of the videos that's going to be hardest in pre-production, trying to figure out the logistics of it. But it should be fun. It should be, I don't know about fun, it should be something. So let's quickly, I'll start out by giving you my broad vision for the video, because O Comely has this many words in it, 8 minutes long, and it's sort of broken up into different sections. It's not about a specific thing. It's influenced by a lot of different things. There's Anne Frank influences. There's the last verse is about two conjoined twins dying in the woods and being eaten by a beast, and this is just all nonsense. This one is pretty close to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and separate these. Yeah, that can be yellow. That can be, I'll just go in order of what they have them as. And then here's our Anne Frank verse, and then here's Goldoline, the conjoined twin verse. Nope, that should be a different color, huh? Nope, I still suck at this. And boink, there we go. It's impossible to read. Why are you doing this to me? So anyway, so my talking about the song is going to, hold on, these are my options? Oh gosh, work with me here. My talking about the song is going to work with, I'll take that, is going to work with, what is happening in the song. So we have these four sort of separate parts here. This one is sort of about, again, it's a very abstract, almost like visual poem of a song, and that's what a lot of the video is going to be about. By the way, big spoilers for the video, but you know, this is oh hey, Ryan says everything looks and sounds a-okay, which is rad. But yeah, this is gonna be the heart of the video is just about how I have such an emotional reaction to this song. It hits me right in the heart every time I hear it, and the song largely makes no sense. And it's me trying to figure out, why is that the case? How is that possible? And so this first verse is loosely about a person sort of being seduced and manipulated and just ruined, I guess, by people who they think is their friends or loved ones. But again, it's pretty nonsense. This one goes full nonsense because we're talking about soft selling music is meaningful, magical, the movements were beautiful, all in your ovaries, all of them milking and green fleshy flowers, while powerful pistons were sugary sweet machines, smelling of semen all under the garden was all you were needing when you still believed in me. What? That's where I'm going to talk more about the nonsensical nature of the song. And then we get one that's very blatantly about Anne Frank, and actually makes sense. So Jeff Mangum, the lead singer of O Comely, he was, a lot of the songs on this album, the album is In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, and a lot of the songs on this album have very direct references to Anne Frank, and he had read the book before, her diary, before recording and writing the album, and it devastated him. He felt so awful about what had happened to her and the fact that he can't save her. He said he cried for days over it, and he started having these dreams about her and her family and being able to save her in a time machine. So we have this short verse here. And I know they buried her body with others, her sister and mother and 500 families. And will she remember me 50 years later? I wish I could save her in some sort of time machine. And so that's where I'll be talking about the lyrics that actually make sense. So the Anne Frank influence, the conjoined twin stuff, and the band breaking up, because this was their last album also. There's such a weird mythology. Ryan says, watching you make videos, spoilers for the video, by the way. Yeah, that seems kind of goes without saying, but you know what? I don't think I've ever, even when I've said spoilers, I think I've gotten yelled at for having spoilers, invariably. So, you know, to avoid future whining from people. But yeah, so this was they only made 2 albums, and this album is a masterpiece, and then they just stopped. Specifically, Jeff Mangum just stopped making. He decided he didn't want to do Neutral Milk Hotel anymore. And there's a very intricate. I've read literally every interview he's ever done. I've read a whole book on the making of this album and their whole career, and any number of think pieces and and historical documents and I have done so much research on this. I think I couldn't do more research if I want to. I'm even reading the Diary of Anne Frank right now for research for this, because that is like the one last thing, and I'm determined to find one really good quote from that to put in the video. But yeah, so the it's a pretty intricate reason why they stopped making music. He's realized that the feelings he was trying to cope with and the pain he was trying to cope with, it wasn't healthy to try to dig that deep and deal with it through music. He had convinced himself before that he could deal with these types of things through music, and got to the point where he realized that, oh boy, no, this is way too dark and this is way too upsetting, and I need to find a different way to cope with this. And so he just stopped making music. And he, it's very important to keep in mind, this is the era of Kurt Cobain, not like very recently, committing suicide and having all the stress of this is because they put out this album, and a lot of their popularity came after they broke up, because the album just it had these legs. It kept getting more and more popular. And like in the book I read was written in 2005, and it said something like 30% of the album sales were from 2003 to 2005, years after they broke up. And that was back in 2005, and they've gotten even bigger since then. And of course, he went on to do a solo tour, which I saw, and that will be the climax of this video, me talking about that experience. And then he did a tour with the band again right after that. That was in 2012 to 14. And I saw them again then, and it was great. It was magical. But yeah, when he on his solo tour, just him with a guitar sitting on the stage in front of a whole, music hall full of people, when he played this song, "O Comely," everyone cried. Like, so many people crying. It was like dead silent except for the music and the sniffing, and everyone was frozen, just engulfed in this music, and it was such a crazy experience. So I'm going to touch on that a bit. But yeah, let's get into the beats of the song. So the intro, or the video, the intro is going to be, I know that because I said my process is writing every single idea, every little bit that I might use, whether it's a visual thing I might do in the video, or a little bit of research I like and a quote I like and I might use that later, or just ideas for the actual structure of the content of the video, and what I want to talk about, in a million little things. I write it all down on my legal pad, pages and pages and pages. And then once the video starts to take form and get sort of a continuity in my mind, I put it into, I go onto the computer, because it's much easier to sort of add, if I want to go back and add things in the second beat or something of the video, then it's a lot easier to do on a computer instead of trying to add things chronologically on paper. So that's when I switch to the computer, and we're at that stage now. So it's me organizing all my thoughts and filling in all the plot holes and stuff of the video, all the things that need fleshing out and everything. But I'm just starting in the broadest terms possible. Intro. And the intro is going to be Jeff quote. By the way, my E and S and D keys barely work. I have to slam on them, so prepare for a lot of misspellings, because ESD, use those somewhat often. It's a good thing that I write. It's a good thing that I'm literally a writer and that my keyboard doesn't work. So I'm gonna start out with this. I found this one of the earliest recordings of him playing "O Comely" live, and it was Jittery Joe's is the recording, if you want to track it down. And before the song, he says, actually I have the direct quote somewhere right here. I wrote this song at Christmas time. It's not a very Christmassy song, but it's called "O Comely," and it's about a lot of different things. And I feel like that sort of embodies this song perfectly. So I'm going to start with that Jeff quote, and then I'm going to start with me talking very, very simple facts about, I'm just going to say, how do I want to say this? I'll just say basic facts about the band / album. So I will literally say Neutral Milk Hotel put out the album In the Airplane Over the Sea in 1998, whatever. They, it was spring of 98. They recorded in late 97. Pretty sure. I might have that mixed up a little bit. I'm not good at remembering facts. This is why I write everything down. But anyway, and then I'll say, on that album, it has my favorite song of all time. I know exactly where I was when I listened to it for the first time. I am probably going to put an actual Google Maps image of the spot I was standing on the sidewalk when it first came on my iPod. And I listened to it for the first time because it just knocked me out. It was such a distinct memory I have of this crazy song, and how it just kept going, and it was so evocative. Evocative is going to be a key phrase for this video. So I'm going to say favorite song, but I won't say what the song is. I will just talk about my experience hearing it for the first time. Google Map image where I first heard it, and then I'll finally say, this is gonna be like a 30-second intro or whatever. I'll finally say that song was that song's called "O Comely." That song is "O Comely," and then the music kicks in, hit with that opening guitar, which it's a very simple. The guitar itself is literally just 2 chords back and forth, E and C, and it's very simple, and it gets a lot of criticism for being simple, but I think not a lot of people realize that the real instrument in the song is Jeff Mangum's voice. And you know what? Here, to give this some, don't tell the copyright people, but I'm gonna get flagged regardless. Let's give it some. I'll have you hear the beginning of the song here. Let me put on my headphones so I can hear it. Very simple E major, continuously. Got some comments. And then now listen to the amount of notes he jammed into those first 2 words. And I have so it'll be a dramatic recreation of the first time you listen to the song. It's really just gonna be me being like, just in the same way that I'm dropping facts about the album, I'm just gonna drop facts about the first time I heard it. So it'll just be like, it contains my favorite song of all time. I remember exactly where I was. This is where I was. Show the image of it and act as nonchalant. It's so the opposite of dramatic. But you know, if someone wants to send in a dramatic recreation of me hearing the song for the first time and probably like openly weeping on the side of a road somewhere, then you know, feel free to send that in. But I ain't got the budget for that. So that first is such a interesting juxtaposition of that just continuous E chord, just strumming an E chord, and then we have his, which I think if you haven't heard the song before, it's got to be weird to hear Jeff Mangum sing for the first time. But hear how many notes he hits just in this opening. Like, that is the actual instrument in this song, is his voice. This whole album is just built around the main instrument that is his voice. And so, start the song. And we are going to talk about the recording of the song here. Great. I love the story behind the recording. There's a lot of made up mythology behind Neutral Milk Hotel because he literally just fell off the map and stopped making music. And so all these rumors and conspiracy theories started cropping up about the making of this album. A lot of people said, "Oh, he locked himself in a closet." That's one of the first things I heard about the band, was he locked himself in this closet for a week and just wrote the whole album locked in this closet. And he didn't, and that's not what happened. That was just another weird urban legend about this album. But one of the things that are actually true, which I'll bring up at the beginning, is this song was recorded in one take. It was literally like the first take. It was literally they set up the mics, and it was just gonna be a test recording to see if the mic placement was okay. And he was supposed to just play a couple verses from it, and he felt it, and he kept going with it, and he played the whole 8-minute song all the way through. And at the end of the song, the very end of the song, pardon my language, but you hear someone distantly yell, "Holy shit!" And that is one of his bandmates, who were all just watching in awe from the recording booth, and or the producer's booth, and they never recorded another take of it. It was just done. He just cranked it out. They, like I said, they add a little bit of double tracking with the vocals in one spot, and they add a little bit of horns in another. But the rest of it, him just sitting down, recording it in one take, and making my favorite song of all time, which I think is bonkers. So I'm gonna start the song talking about the video talking about the recording process. I should probably talk about his voice. I'm gonna say describe his singing. The pain in the singing, the emotions of it, and then talk about the recording process, hearing the holy shit. And okay, so here's a bit of a spoiler for the ending of this video, because I always like to set up something at the very beginning of the video that pays off at the end, and that's sort of the payoff at the end, is hopefully the viewer will forget about the holy shit. And so at the end of the video, we hear the holy shit very distantly at the end of the song. And that's kind of my bookend, is holy shit. And there's a million other things I set up and pay off at the end of it. This one's very payoff-y, which I'm pumped about. I always like when a video comes together like that, and that's honestly the result of a lot of research, which, the way I see it, I think everyone should research like crazy for these videos, not just out of like a journalistic integrity sort of obligation, but just because it's the equivalent of, like, if I had 3 times the footage to edit from, then I will have a better video with more options because I have more footage to pick from. Same with research. If I have 3 times the quotes and the material and the facts to choose from, then all of those I can pick whichever ones inform the video the best. And just do your research. And it's also fun. I've had such a blast doing the research for this one, as in-depth as it is, and as much as I've been immersed in this one album for a month. I'm going to take a drink of water. But yeah, let's turn on some other music while I talk. But then we're going to get into the simple guitar chords versus the notes Jeff sings. So like I said, there's a criticism a lot of the time for this album having very simple, like if you've played guitar for a few months, you can play this album front to back. But again, that doesn't mean it's a flaw, because the main instrument is the voice. And if you were taking voice lessons for a couple months, you still could not do what Jeff Mangum does on this album. So that's going to be the next part. And then I will have, that's where we'll hit our first excerpt. Here, I'll do that now. When I get to, talking about how intricate the notes are that he sings. That's going to be a couple minutes in. Okay, so it's actually 2 minutes in, so I have a lot of space to work with here. So I'm probably gonna try to insert a bit more into there, a bit more setup. Maybe talk a bit more about the I don't know, the sort of abstract lyrics of the song, because space is precious in this video, because there are some parts where I'll have like this 2 minutes to talk about whatever I want, but then there are parts where I will only have like 40 seconds from one line that I need to reference to another to bridge those two references, and so it's going to get very tight towards the end. So we'll figure out something else there. But then, the fire department is right outside my door because this video is so fire. Oh God. We are gonna cut to this anyway at some point. This will be the reference for how crazy the scale of notes he sings is. And takes off into the stratosphere here. And then he goes even higher, as if that's possible. Nice. And then so that'll be a throwaway. I'll throw to that. And then I'll say end of verse 2. And you know what? To make the verses a little more comprehensible, I'm going to put a break there because there's definitely a break there. So this is what I mean by verse 2. We'll throw to that. And then we get into what's on my list here. We talk about the evocative nonsense lyrics, which I will throw to the soft silly music part. I'm gonna say, so I'll say evocative nonsense music. So this is where it gets tricky. And this is also a very tricky stream for me to do because a lot of this is just me sitting quietly and staring at it and trying to come up with the words I want to say for minutes and minutes. But this is so stream of consciousness for me right now. Evocative nonsense music. It's very Bob Dylan-esque. So I'll probably mention that. I was trying to find the form of poetry, whatever form of poetry. I heard tone poem a lot, but that's largely an orchestral thing. But sort of creating images and emotions, not necessarily through the meaning of the words, but just through what those words evoke emotionally for you. They have lines that are like cars careening from the clouds as bridges burst and twist around, and and it is so evocative and such evocative imagery, but it's also like, it's nonsense, but it evokes a reaction from you. And it reminds me a lot of later Dylan stuff where people say he doesn't make sense, but again, it's very much that same thing. And I'll throw to those lyrics at some point, but I should talk here about, in my mind, it's no different from if you hear a beautiful, sonata or something from Chopin, or like a nice waltz or something. It doesn't have any direct meaning. There are no words, but you still have an emotional reaction from it. And so, yeah, it can be very moving. And that's honestly how I see so much of this song, is that it is pure abstract art that is designed to make you feel the craziest feelings. And I should talk about the feelings that this evokes for me, because it is such a combination of sadness and beauty that I interpret from this song. The whole album is that way. You should very much hear the whole album in context. It is I could, if I had the time and if I was crazy enough, I would just I would cover the whole album this way, just beginning to end, and choreograph the whole thing. Who knows? Maybe I'll do one for each song or something crazy. But yeah, the whole album is very much about death and beauty and a weird weaving of the two. They are very much intertwined, and it's very much that thing I talk about in the Hamilton video of these sort of paradoxical emotions, the happy and sad, disturbing and beautiful. And that is this whole song for me, very much so. So I want to talk about just evoking emotions at an abstract level, we'll say. And then I should use brackets for this, just to be consistent. Throw to verse 3 excerpt. And then we'll go to part 4, which is me pretty much saying it's not to say that there is no sort of meaning to any of the lyrics. There is some meaning. And then we talk about Anne Frank, the references to that. And Jeff's relationship to the book. The album's relationship to the book. And then we'll talk about the conjoined twins Goldoline verse. And the final verse of this song actually was not in this song for a very long time. It was its own song called Goldoline. And he's very much a scavenger of his own songs. If you hear unfinished demos and things like that, you'll hear so many lines from future songs, and he very much would write songs and then pick what he liked out of them and then Frankenstein them into other songs to create like super songs. And Goldoline is an example of that. And I think that's another reason why you cannot say, oh, there's a definitive storyline or meaning to this song. A lot of people try to. Go read Genius, the lyrics website, and everyone will say that every single thing is a reference to Anne. Like they'll be like oh, here they mention eating, and this is reminiscent of a time where Anne Frank said she ate a thing. And it's like it's such reaching, and it's absolutely the case that so much of the references this album makes are more inspirations to the lyrics instead of the actual meaning behind the lyrics. And again, it operates on an emotional level and not on a logical level, which I think is very affecting and very effective. So yeah, I'll talk about the Goldoline part, and then I will say, I will have the excerpt and Frank verse, and then I will talk about the death of the band. How this is their last album, and how we all thought it was over. And I'm gonna do a little sub part. This is where I get into the details a bit. These little sub bits. Everyone thought it was over. Quote. When song sounds So there's a part in this song where there's two parts really. There's a part in the song that it sounds like the song is done, and then it kicks into that Goldoline part. Here, so there's a trumpet. We don't have the double tracking on the vocals there. And then it sounds over. And then it goes there. That might be the only editing I do to the song, is to prolong that silence there. Because, again, timing it out with the song, I want to say everyone thought it was over in reference to the band being done, and then the song sounding like it's over, and then talk about him going on tour again. How long? Like 15 years after the fact. Rebirth / comeback tour. And then this is where it gets into, this is going to be a lot of fact dropping, a lot of history and influences, and, talking about the recording of it, talking about the technicality of his singing, talking about the terms for the nonsense lyrics and stuff like that, the Anne Frank influence, all of that stuff, the historical ending of the band. And from here on out, because it's a mix-up video, I get deeply personal. And you know what? I'm actually gonna move this to 5. Or to 6. Uh-oh. Why'd you do that? So this is a fun thing that my computer does constantly. But so I'm gonna move the rebirth thing, if this ever kicks in again, to 5, and then I'm gonna move that to 6. I'm gonna move the death to 5, make that its own thing, death of the band. And then I'm going to, and that death of the band is gonna be really hard to fit into. No, I should be able to fit that into that. The little space between the Anne Frank, because I do have only, I can't even open the lyrics. You got lyrics on this thing? No. So, but I will, wow, 1.8 million views. Good on them. This is still not working. This makes writing very easy when you can't write at all. Hey, speaking of which, I'm building a new computer this summer, and it should actually function like a computer. Although I will say I'm using like Office 2011 or something. I'm very stuck on, I like this when it actually works, this whole layout for this. But I am building a new computer this summer. Very soon. Hopefully this will be significantly easier, all of this, because this is my daily just waiting for my computer to work. But yeah, so we're going to get into him going back on tour. Not releasing any new music, but he just went on a solo tour. Him and a guitar. Sometimes he would have someone come out and play trumpet for a couple of tracks, but 90% of the time, him and a guitar in a massive room of people. And it was some of the most emotional, electric, lively shows I've ever seen. It's him sitting down. He's not even moving around the stage or anything. But just how invested the fans are, and how much, these are all college age kids who have only been listening to the music since they're stopped being Neutral Milk Hotel music. Oh boy, we might have to switch to something else here. I'll finish it on notes. I don't care. Actually, oh boy, I'll give this a second. But yeah, it was such an emotional experience for me, and so I'm gonna talk about the we'll do the timeline while we wait, but I'm gonna talk about the experience of seeing him. And despite all this context for why this song makes me emotional, because there's plenty of reasons for the song to make me emotional. One, because it has such sad imagery about like that. I feel like that's such a universal emotion in terms of death, where it's just you wish you could do anything to have changed things, especially with suicide or unnecessary deaths. Like, and that idea of going back in a time machine to save someone. And boy, the last verse about the twins is so oddly beautiful. That's why the video is called A Warm Death. It's conjoined twins who are lost and freezing in the forest, and their consolation, their coping with that is that they'll soon be warm again and together again in the belly of a beast. And it is sort of a welcome view of death. Not that it's encouraging you to die or anything, but it gets rid of some of the scariness of death. And then the band itself dies in a way, not the people, but the organization. But even without all that context of the parallels to him wanting to save Anne Frank and a lot of the people listening wanting to save the band, wish they could have a time machine and go back and save the band so that they could make more music. Without all of that, like, even with that context, it still affected me so much the first time I heard the song. And I knew nothing about the band. I knew nothing about the references it was making. I didn't know what any of the lyrics meant, and I was still floored by it. It was still so deeply beautiful and dark and just affecting and evocative. And to be in that room with all those people and to see so many people crying in response to the song, when I'm sure so many of them, again, didn't know. A lot of the meaning behind this was a result of a month of research. And I, as a lifelong, or not a lifelong, but a decade-long fan of Neutral Milk Hotel, I didn't know a lot of the meaning to this until I really dug deep, especially with how much misinformation is out there about what the songs mean and everything and what they're about. And so just the fact that all these people are having this emotional reaction to this nonsense song was such an affecting experience to me, to see that I wasn't alone in being affected by that nonsense. And really, it gets down to the core of art and the purpose of art, and how the whole point of it is to evoke emotions, to birth emotions, and nothing creates a deeper emotional response to me than this song does. And so to me, it is sort of this pinnacle of art, and I don't expect anyone else to have this reaction. Like I said, I was surprised to see other people have the same reaction because it feels so personal to me. Because of that abstract quality, it feels it feels personal in a way that it is me translating it and imposing it upon my own life, my own perception, and it really is just like, such a testament to how powerful art can be. That, I wonder if this is working yet. Nope. All right, I'm gonna force quit that and hope it auto saves. But yeah, it's such a testament to what art can be and what art is. And again, just like you go back to Mozart, and I'm sure people cried at, was it Beethoven did Moonlight Sonata and stuff like that? Whoa, a lot of recovered stuff. But let's use the recovered ones. Uh-oh, didn't recover much. Yay! So many setbacks, but we're fine. I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the. So this is Death of the Band, and then we're gonna say Comeback Tour. The experience of watching it live, and then I'm gonna get into a lot of that stuff I just said about the just it being the pinnacle of art for me, and it having those, creating such strong emotions to respond to. And it's a combination of the simplicity and the singing and the lyrics and the pain and the beauty. I think that is such a rare occurrence that his voice so perfectly accompanies what he's singing about, because there is that pain and beauty and darkness in both the lyrics and his voice and his singing style. And so it all comes together. And it's also abstract, and you relate to it in your own ways. And again, like I'm able to relate to his singing about Anne Frank, even though I'm just now reading the book for the first time, because that is how I feel about the band. And that's going to be a thing we come back to, is that, and then also the lyrics of the song are very childlike, in the sense of like how a child might perceive the world. And it's very non-conventional way of observing life. And again, like, that is a bizarre, beautiful parallel to to Anne Frank's diary, and that childlike perception of the world, and seeing through her eyes. And yeah, it's just also affecting for me, and so beautiful. And it makes me feel okay about the quote-unquote death of the band through the beauty of the sad beauty of death in the song, specifically that last verse of them having a warm death in a beast's belly, finally being warm, finally being together, and just knowing that Jeff Mangum is alive and is okay and has coped with the things he needed to cope with, and how that was a welcome death for him too, the death of the band and the death of his musical career, or at least music writing career. And I feel like all of it just comes together in this one spot, and I have to fit it in this little area here. But let's try to do that. Oh boy. Oh, this is a tricky one, isn't it? And then that's how the video is gonna wrap up, is me saying like this. I'm gonna try to be as evocative and emotional as possible, talking about the evocative and emotional experience of seeing him live and seeing all the other people react to this thing, and really go out on a powerful note. And then at the very end, we have that at the end of the song. Holy shit. And I feel like that's a good ad cap to the song, to the video at least. And so yeah, experience of watching it live. Let's say, emotions are universal. Relate to Anne Frank through regretting the death of the band. A warm death. This is what art is. Boy, this is very abstract, huh? Appropriate for the song. And then we say, nothing affects me more deeply. Emotions are universal, relate to Anne Frank thing. Ooh, and this is where I want to be able to put an Anne Frank quote, which actually, the first quote of the book, of her diary, is fairly relevant. I can find my research for that. Losing pages here. Yeah, her first passage is literally, I hope I shall confide in you completely, you being the diary, as I have never been able to do in anyone before, and I hope you will be a great support and comfort to me. And that is exactly how I feel about this song. And I feel as though Jeff is confiding in me with these bizarrely honest and very open and vulnerable lyrics. But yeah, I definitely want a good Anne Frank quote in there to again pull it all together. And then of course, holy shit. All right. So what did we have here? That was evocative music, Dylan-esque. Now this will be the tricky part, because I will have from here to the end of the song. Let's find out how long that is. All right, so 6:44. I got a minute and a half to to fit all this in. I think I can do it. You know what? I'm gonna start putting in parentheses. 1.5 minutes. There we go. Whew. So that's gonna have to work. Yeah, this is gonna be a very tricky one. Death of the band. So this is gonna be there is some meaning, and Frank's influence on Jeff and the album, the conjoined twins story. And Dylan-esque. What I will establish the idea, but not quite say it yet, because I want that. So this is almost. Do you know inverted pyramid? The format of a good article, a good news story, where you top load it with all the important facts first, and then you get less and less important. I do the opposite of that. I'm a verted pyramid. I'm just a pyramid with my videos. And that is, I try to have all the hard-hitting emotional stuff right at the end so that it really feels profound, like everything is coming together. And I sort of tease them and build to that as much as possible throughout the whole video. Then right at the end, it all comes together. It's like I'm establishing each very blurry vision of each puzzle piece, and I'm just showing you a close-up of each puzzle piece, and then the last couple minutes of the video is just me presenting the complete, gorgeous, beautiful puzzle, all put together. And so, yeah, that's what art is. Tase. And, pure emotion. Then we got the verse 3 excerpt. Then we got the Anne Frank verse. These are supposed to be brackets. I'm gonna go ahead and oh boy, I'm gonna go ahead and put some music back on for y'all while I flesh these out a bit, and then maybe we'll dive into that Photoshop timeline if I'm feeling like I can talk still. Let's go up here. Let's do post-apocalyptic funk. That seems appropriate for O Comely. So also what should be pointed out is that I'm very much going to do a style of this sort of old art, turn of the century illustrations, and like, I mean, that's very much like, look at this is the cover art for the album, and that is Chris Billheimer, who did the art for pretty much every REM album from Monster forward, so last 20, 30 years, whatever. And he did the American Idiot, the fist grabbing the heart grenade cover art, but he did this art, and it's a tweaked version. This sticker isn't here on it, the actual artwork, but it's a tweaked version of an original. It's an old European postcard that was of a beach, and he added this drum head to it, and actually, you know, it's funny is, like, I kept wishing, this is a little squished, which is annoying. Imagine this wider. But I kept seeing references to the lyrics sheet, because there's a lot of interesting little details in the lyrics sheet of this album. Like there's a verse about a dark brother who commits suicide and he doesn't want to be reincarnated, and the earth is much more beautiful from a star. He decides to stay in space instead of return to Earth. And in the lyrics sheet, it says HP next to dark brother, which makes me think it is, you know, sort of he's talking about a real person who committed suicide and sort of his way of remembering him or her. And there's an explanation that one of the famous lines from this album is the "I love you, Jesus Christ," in the second track, which he explains in the lyrics sheet, just saying that he doesn't care about, you know, he's not trying to spread a religion or anything. It's just him having grown up religious, and it's just him singing something that was evocative for him. And again, it comes down to that there's not necessarily a lot of meaning behind the lyrics, it's pure emotion, and that created an emotion for him in the same way that Anne Frank's story created an emotion for him. And it's just something he was feeling, and it's just being honest about. And so there's all these interesting things in the lyric sheet, and I was like, I need to find, I wonder if it's online or something, lyric sheet. And for weeks, I was just like, note to self, track down that lyric sheet. And I finally remembered, I have this thing on vinyl. I have the original lyric sheet and everything. I have all the concept, all the art, the album art, all this stuff that I was just dying to get. And I just totally forgot I owned all of it. And I'm dumb. I forgot I was dumb, and that's something I should never do, because it's always consistent throughout all these processes. I'm going to take a drink of water. So, I think we have our bones here. I'm going to get rid of this intro. It goes without saying. So, this is going to be the vague structure of the video. Start with the quote and the facts, drop in the facts. And then we hit the song, talk about his singing. I should say pain and beauty. That'll be another setup for the end. Beauty. See, I'm getting pumped. Those creative juices are starting to flow now. Now that everything's sort of tying itself together, this is exciting. Death of the band, warm death, and that will be my transition, talking about the death of the twins, how it was like sort of a welcome death opposed to the existence they were living, freezing in the forest, and the death of the band, how that was a welcome death. And actually, fun fact, speaking of REM, which I was talking about Chris Billheimer, speaking of REM 10 minutes ago, in 1999, REM asked if they wanted to open for them, for REM, and Jeff Mangum was like, nah, we're done touring right now. and didn't do it. I cannot. That is such a weird alternate universe in my head to imagine this. Like, I mean, I can't even imagine. They've only released one song he's written post this album. Only one song of his has been released since then. And that is around when you can tell that he's on the verge of not doing this anymore, because it is so deeply dark. It's called Little Birds, I think. I have it downloaded now. Yeah, Little Birds. And it is so beautiful, and it's become one of my favorites from them. But it's just like, boy, I can see why you stopped making music, because this is going in a dark direction. And people saw Lance Bang's quote, who is the videographer for this band and for REM and stuff, and him talking about how he didn't even, like, no one knew how they would even add the rest of the band to the song, because the sad dark trumpets are just gonna seem like laughable compared to the significantly more sad and significantly more dark lyrics and music. And so, yeah, it was going in such a dark, scary direction with the band. And yeah, there's some alternate universe out there where they kept touring, and they toured with REM and made more music, and I cannot even fathom. But yeah, I do want to, so this is where, again, where I kind of make notes to myself below each thing. I want to mention, that there's so much mythology around the band. Oh, you know what we do? We add it. I'm gonna delete it instead of copy and pasting, because that's what screwed it up last time. Also, I should save. Is that gonna work? Come on. NMH big outline. Desktop. Yeah, replace it. All right. But the oh boy, and then I lost what I was here. I'm going to talk about the mythology surrounding the band / making of the album. And I really want to establish that I feel like Neutral Milk Hotel has become almost like a meme amongst online music fans, because of the absurd amount of mythology and urban legends and stuff surrounding them at this point. And it feels like, they have been, when something becomes so thoroughly worshipped, then people are inevitably going to be like, oh, it's not that great. Especially when you only hear it like for the first time or something, and one of the first lyrics you hear is him screaming, "I love you, Jesus Christ." It can be very off-putting. I will say, listen to the album multiple times, give it a shot, and keep in mind it is pure personal preference for me that this is my favorite song. It is just my favorite song because it speaks to me emotionally. And that's what I wanted to mention here, is that I don't think it's a perfect song. I don't even know what that means. But it affects me more deeply than... Oh boy, we're losing some letters here. Nope, that's not where that goes. More deeply than the other song. And that's why I love it. I really want to point out that this is just a personal thing to me. And I'm trying to not to make this video too masturbatory, too self-indulgent, just talking about why it's personally my favorite song. I really want there to be a lot to draw from it. And honestly, like, my ideal scenario is this will help other people understand why their favorite songs are what they are. I'm not trying to make anyone like tell everyone, oh, your favorite song should be "Oh Comely." I'm just trying to possibly provide an explanation why your favorite song or piece of art or movie or story or anything might be your favorite and might speak to you so deeply because it's about evoking emotions. And yeah, I think that's generally the gist of this video. We got our roadmap here. So let's start timing stuff out. That was 6:40. That was 6:40. 6 minutes and 43 seconds, right? That we were into it. That we got the Goldoline. I'm gonna add a little thing here. How do I want to do this? I'm probably just gonna hand draw a lot of this. Do new layer. So 6 minutes 43 seconds. I'm gonna put that stuff. Put it down here. And text. Let's change it to career prime. Ah. Let's make that way smaller, huh? 10? Yeah. Doesn't show up super well. And it's also still sort of big. But I also don't want to spend too much time on that. All right, good enough for me. Maybe I should do bold. What's that bold look like? Better. Okay. So we got our Goldoline verse. Oh, I should do 6:43. Equals. Sure. All right. So let's figure out our other. So we have our the things we'll be referencing that we need to time out is this, 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 oh yeah, and then I thought it was over. It's a direct quote or something close to a direct quote in the thing. I usually put quotes around it. This is all very personal preference. This is made specifically for me to read it. I don't care about it being legible for anyone else, which makes for a great live stream. So let's figure out what time these are, each of these. We already got that one. And so let's do the Anne Frank verse starts at. Stop it, epidemic. Shut your mouth. We'll start. Let's see around here. Hey. So here's that double tracking vocals, and again, I think it's just in this one section with the again, he does a lot of da 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 da's, not even words. I should add that somewhere in terms of nonsense. All the da's. It's a good frame of reference. All right, we're about to hit it. And 508. Okay, that's gonna be in here. 508 and Frank verse. So it's going to be here. Going to draw a little line on our layer from here. Cool. Okay, 508. So that'll give us. Okay, so wait, hold on. We need to figure out when that is 2. So 508 2. 2. 532. 32. So those are the ones, those excerpts that take especially long or rough. So that chunk of time I won't be able to use. And then we got, what else? First 3 excerpt. Ooh, I think this is going to be a long one. I might have to cut it down. Oh, that's like exactly where so I'm starting at 3:30, starting it at the lyric soft silly music is meaningful magical, because I feel like that sort of embodies this whole thing quite a bit. So that's 3:30. Put that down here. 3:32. So I'm gonna say 406. That's a long one. That's too long for anyone to listen to. So I'm gonna cut. Oh, not money 06. I'm gonna cut that one down. Nonsense verse. Boy, I should just cut and paste the color code. Do a little, what does that be? 3:30, so it's like right down the middle. Let's move this. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna 406. That's gonna be 5:32. And that's just right in that spot. So that's not a time frame. And then, this is coming together a bit. Finally, the last little excerpt is from, oh, that was what, 202? We figured that out. I'm going to animate on probably a scale where the note is that he's singing at. And it's going to be moving in contrast with the E and C. I mixed it. I'll start with He's Only My Enemy. 205. 205 through. This is fun, isn't it? I feel like we're losing steam a bit here, so after I get done with this, I'm probably going to call it a day and flesh it out a bit, but you see how I sort of think with these things. Hey, this song's really pretty and I love it. That's 240. Again, a very long one. I'm gonna have to cut these down. I'm gonna say vocal range. And we have our little, that's 205 to 240. I'm going to cut these down at some point. But we have our little thing here. So let's draw our lines. About there. Save. And this is what, so the time, what we have to operate with is this chunk here. This little bit. About 50 seconds between those two. And then a minute between those two. And then a minute 15. Then a minute 30. Or no, that's 2 minutes. And oh yeah, no, I'll have plenty of space. I did my math wrong. I'll have space. Or wait, hold on. No, because it's 8. The 8 is not a full minute. It's just 8. Or wait. No, yeah, no. At the end of the 1 is 1 minute. I think I screwed up I'm going to have to reevaluate all this. So that's 1 minute, and then this is 2 minutes. So that is 8 minutes. Hey, you know what? I'll figure this out later. But this is a new one for me. I just thought a timeline would make things easier to comprehend how much time I have to fit everything in there. What I'm going to end up doing is probably recording voiceover while listening to the music to time it out to see how much space I have, how fast I have to deliver things. And I'll probably be like speeding up my voiceover a little bit or slowing it down a bit, like as long as it's unnoticeable. And making it all work because yeah, I'm just gonna play the song beginning to end, talk over it, cut to it when it's necessary and makes sense too. But yeah, this outline's gonna get 3 times the length as I add in more details for my notes under the appropriate settings, and then I'm just gonna sort of add everything I have, add the visual ideas I have for each one. And this is going to be a very interesting video visually. And I'm excited to do it. I'm excited for you to watch it. But thank you for joining me on this journey of putting all my dang thoughts into a structure. I think this is honestly the most important stage for the video turning out well. I am such a structure nerd. And, and there's a lot of video essayists out there don't really care about structure in terms of setup and payoff. I think that's fairly unique for Make Stuff, but then that's how we get all our... I feel like a lot of Make Stuff videos have great endings, thinking of the reveal of the book quote at the end of the Star Wars one, and of obviously the callback to the very beginning in the Hamilton video, and... there's a bunch of them. But that the reason that is possible is by having this very loose outline at the beginning that I can move things around and edit things, and I can see, okay, this is how it's going to end, and how do I set that up at throughout it, And it is this step, as sort of basic as it seems, this step is what makes my videos good, honestly. And figuring out that perfect structure to make it as effective and emotional and efficient as possible. Like I said, you saw me figure out like, oh, I can put stuff here and save things here and put the da-da-das there and all that stuff. And it's just so useful to have this format. So if you're working on anything, whether it's an essay for school, whether it's a story, whether it's a song, whatever, try outlining it first. I cannot approve of outlines more. They're the best. And stay tuned. I'm literally 2 days from now, I'm leaving for a week. Don't worry. I got all my videos set up ahead of time. Or all the podcast episodes, all the making progresses, those are all set up, and I'm going to be working on this outline and the actual script. I would like to be done with the actual script before I get back, but all of the podcasts, all 4 of them that are going to debut in the next week and a half, and all of the making progresses are both completed. So it's not gonna hurt the Patreon, but I am gonna be off the grid for the next week. It's gonna be so nice. It's gonna be so nice, except for all the driving and wedding stuff and nonsense that I have to do and money spending. But hey, I'm also gonna take a break from social media, so it's gonna be healthy. But during that, I will be working on this, and please stay tuned. I would love to get at least the first half of it out, if not the entirety of it out, by the end of the month. That is my main goal. End of the month, get this whole video out there. We'll see if that happens. It's honestly, it's up to the video. Depending on how difficult or not difficult it is to obtain my vision for what I want to happen with it. But yeah, that's what we got for you. Play us out, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Big thank you to all the patrons. Of course, am I gonna really? Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna bring up the patrons really quick. And they are, of course, music stub. Zandy Swagger, Lone Chemist, Tyler Anderson, Julie Rimley, High Top Films, Michael Fino, TC Arkenberg, Polyphonic, Kier Greenfield, and of course, a little faster now, Rachel Ann, Ryan Peliquin, Andrew Seibert, Sarah Kennedy, Keith Dreskel, Hannah Roberts, Tim Maxwell, Barbara Alperth, Brian Kershaw, and Maggie Dunlap. Thank you all so much, and as always, make all your fat fleshy moving fingers to moving, and go make stuff. Y'all the best. Bye.